Hello, so this is a review of Clockcatcher's made short story, The Voyage of King Euvoran. And so this story is the longest of all the Zodiac cycle, I believe, ranging from 9,000 words. And this is certainly the best story of the Zodiac cycle in my opinion so far. Not because it's the longest, but because of its comedic ending it has. It really has a gesture that is very humorous and funny. So the story is about a Midwest king whom wears a opulent and sumptuous crown that has a stuffed bird on top of it. So according to the history of the empire, it's a very rare bird that has been stuffed. So the king is at his empire in his throne room, sitting down doing his ordeals to malefactors, culprits, and criminals. And eventually, after giving malefactors the tormenting, there was one criminal who was unsavory and homeless like. But apparently he didn't really do anything, he was just a nomad. But since he looked dirty, guards saw him as a suspicious person, so they brought him to the king. And so when the king gave him the stretching torment, but was unsuccessful because his body was stretchy, so then the victim ended up being a necromancer and made the king's crown become alive, or the bird at least. He brought the bird back to life, and the bird quickly and swiftly flew away outside of the building, and the necromancer hastily ran away and escaped successfully. And so the king goes on his voyage to find the bird and kill it, and stuff it himself and put it back on his crown. So that's that. The journey begins. He disposes his army and brings his vessels onto the ocean and goes on excursions in coral seas, so that this point the story begins as a very climaxing and adventurous story. And finally the ending is the best part, which is the part wherewith is that finally the king finds the bird, but he finds plenty of them in an island where he was stranded on because of a very crazy ocean storm, and he himself only survived the storm. So he finds all these birds, which dumbfounded him because his empire saw them as really rare birds. But he doesn't give up yet. He goes out and actually hunts one of them down for himself. But on the process of doing that, he finds another survivor that was there for months, whom also got stranded because of a storm. And he was wearing the rare stuffed bird on his head like he was in his empire. Like he personally was in his empire. So he got mad and wanted to kill him, but realized he didn't have any equipment and weapons, so he was vulnerable. So they just both got along and lived on the island for the rest of their lives. Now I personally like this story because of the anti-monarchy, anti-king sort of theme or fundamental point. Like, I really like that. In Empire of Necromancers, he didn't really achieve that. He was actually supporting the kings. He was actually supporting and helping them, because in the Empire of Necromancers, the king that builds the empire like gets killed by the king of its original empire. So that one was more like pro monarchy. And the Isle of Torturers is sort of, this was also anti-monarchy, but it wasn't that much of a great compared to the Voyage of King Euvoran. The name Euvoran, I love pronouncing that name. But I mean, overall this story is certainly the best one that I've read so far. I rate this one a 9 out of 10 because of the comedy in it. The comedy really got me. I love the humorous aspect. I love the ending. Clockcatcher's Maze is not renowned for good endings, but I love this ending. He did a good job on this ending.